Hi everyone, happy Saturday. Dr. Beth Westy here, and I just wanted to chat a little bit about the history of nutrition. There's actually a big chunk of my upcoming book that is just totally devoted to talking about the history of nutrition, the history of the health and the programs and the recommendations that are made in our, in our country and why they are that way and where they came from. Oftentimes people just sort of blindly follow different recommendations out there and they're not without really understanding why or how they were set up or why they were set up, that type of a thing. I mean, it's really like following a map that someone drew for you for a city that maybe they've never even been there. So how would they know, right? Like if you're driving around, somebody's going to give you directions to your friend's house, yet they haven't been there themselves, then how likely are you to trust their directions? Not that likely, right? So the biggest thing about following nutrition plans is understanding where they come from, understanding what's behind them. In my upcoming book, The Female Fat Solution, I do recommend women eat differently than men week to week to match with their hormones, to match with their, change and everything else so that they're working with their body and how it flows and ebbs naturally. This is a very new concept for a lot of people. And oftentimes when I talk to men about this, they'll be like, wait, what? Why do women need to eat differently? What's the big deal? Well, your hormones aren't that different. Yeah, I've literally heard that from guys. Well, hormones really aren't that different in women than in men. Really? Do you see my face? Do you like my face with that? That's how guys sound when they talk to me about this. And really, honestly, the only time where men and women are chemically and biologically the same is in the first few weeks as an embryo. Beyond that, differences start and they just expand and the gap widens as the body ages. So when you're working with your body, when you're working with the hormones and eating for how your body naturally is, that's when you get the most benefit from it. So that's what I have my program designed for. It takes you through step by step of what to eat and when and how to work with your hormones. Exactly. There's no way you can screw up on this plan because it works exactly with how your body works as a woman. So you can check out my website. I'll include a link to that information here so you guys can follow that. But the other thing to kind of note and realize is that unless you've done a ton of research and history on this subject, I've dove into this in the past few years, and it's shocking what you can find. The recommendations that are put out there, not that they're not good recommendations in terms of overall health and wellness, it's just very different when you're talking about what a specific person needs. It's not designed to help women become their healthiest and to stay that way longer. Here's an example. In the FDA website, it states that women need 46 grams of protein a day. And I'm not going to disagree with that specifically because it doesn't really say exactly how women should be getting that in, or I would say that that's a very, very bottom line number for women. Bottom line. I mean, minimum amount per day. Anything less than that, you're going to be really struggling, right? Every single cell in your body uses protein, so it's very, very important. When does that recommendation start for women? Age 14. They go through different age chunks as the body, as kids grow to teenagers and to adults. And for women, that recommendation of getting 46 grams of protein a day starts at age 14. So think back to when you were 14 years old and what your body nutritionally needed. How tall were you? How much did you weigh? How active were you? All these other things. Is that the same as it is now? Probably not, unless you're like 15, I'm guessing. So if your body shape, size, energy, everything else hormonally changes, you're going to need to change what you're eating, how you're eating to match with that. And just to go off of some old recommendation that was set in place over 100 years ago and to use data that was taken over 100 years ago is, I think, completely ridiculous. There's been no real recent studies on what people really, really need. They take this really old data that they collected over 100 years ago, and they use that as the baseline for guidelines for nutrition for people. Most of the studies that were done also were done on men. So a lot of the information out there is geared towards men. So it's not to say that it's not good information. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying women are kind of blindly following this information out there, and they're wondering why they're frustrated, struggling, not getting that result, not seeing things as quickly as other men or other people around them. It's because they're not doing what's right for their body. So hopefully this has been helpful. I have a ton more information. I could talk about this for days. I have so much information in my book about this, but I'll include the link. And so in my program, the first part of it goes through in depth a lot of this information, how it was set up, and why it doesn't work for women. So you can check that out as well as check out the program that I have, and you're going to be amazed at how different you feel about your body and how well it functions when you're really working with your hormones. It makes a night and day difference. So hopefully that's helpful, and everybody have a great Saturday. And tomorrow I'm going to talk more about estrogen, talk more about specifics on that and how you can work with estrogen in your body, when that is, what to do, and dive into that more. Share this video with people that you know that could really help get help from this information. And then also message me if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them. All right, have a great Saturday.